So, first of all, I thank you all for coming here, for leading your busy schedule and joining our workshop program for one day. My name is Gaiseng Nu, and I'm working as a civil society mobilization officer for child-friendly Dimapur project AIDA. I'm sure today we'll be learning a lot of benefits to all in the room, and also by spreading knowledge and also stimulating the new ideas.
This organization has been here from last 38 years. It's an NGO which is helping out different people in different places. Right at the beginning, I welcome Advocate Ian Bimo, a resource person for the day from Dimapur District Legal Services Authority. I also welcome the different representatives from different media houses. As I said, our organization has been here from past 38 years, and we have been involved in many different activities to bring about a change in the society. AIDA, as it was developed and as we had thought about it, is to work in 4 provinces or 4 states of Northeast. That is Nagaland, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh and Manipur. In these past years, we have been involved in the works like livelihood sector, WASH. We have been also involved in women empowerment, renewable energy, child rights, and many other things. This particular project for what the workshop is being conducted today is about child-friendly city Dimapur. It's a project which is the idea of UN, those who want that each city should be a child-friendly city all over the world.
This is the overall objective of child-friendly Dimapur. So the picture on the left side is a picture drawn by a Child Rights Club member. So when we ask them to draw, to express themselves or like express what they feel like, what happy childhood is all about. So it's a little more relevant to how child-friendly city can be. So they imagined this out and then they drew this. So we found it it's full of messages that we can see in this picture. So that's how we scanned it and make use of the picture. We're also making use of this through making it in the form of posters and flyers to reach out to as many people as possible when we go out to the field. So talking about the overall objective, it is to contribute to the promotion and enforcement of children's rights in the urban of Dimapur. Our main focus is to create a safe city. Then the activities that we talked about in pictorial presentation, this is what we could produce. From the month of September in the year 2021 till that, we could form around 42 child rights club in different localities and institutions of Dimapur and Chumukidima. So forming them into an organized club, we have reached out to 857 children, which is both inclusive of children from Chumukidima and Dimapur. So they are part of the Child Rights Club that falls under Child Friendly Dimapur. So like I've said, we go to the community, we mobilize the children, we form them into an organized group, and then we have sessions with them. So this session is basically on leadership skill, health and hygiene, rights of the children, starting from the basic right of the children, then mostly focusing on the 4 cardinal rights of United Nations Convention for the Rights of the Children. Walkathon, which we had organized on 7th December, that is from 7 Mile Junction to DC Complex, Chumukidima. So we had 68 Child Rights Club members from different community who had come all over to Chumukidima to do this walkathon together. So yeah, this will be the update for Child Friendly Dimapur. Thank you.
Talking about promoting children's rights through media, I'm sure you all are aware that media is the 4th pillar of democracy, right? Recognizing this vulnerability, our constitution has, introduced certain laws that child rights, as in right to education, right? What is RTE and all. So these are right to education, right to protect them from being exploited, right from sexual abuse, right from physical abuse, right from human trafficking and all those. These are certain rights that has been guaranteed by the Constitution of India, and these are being promoted through print media and the media as well. So the media shares a responsibility, but sadly of late we have seen that the Indian media has ignored certain like children's rights, but they tend to focus more on what's going on in the like more like non-adaptive issues, this, that. Sometimes they also go on to, I'm not saying that the media house is bad, but these are some of the things like when they go haywire, right? When certain rights are neglected, then the society becomes judgmental. Because you tend to judge the person more than what his rights or benefits are. Because he or she has been portrayed that way, right? Supposing a victim is raped, then it's just an example, okay? The media house portrays that one victim was raped and she was, it was about 10, 11. Society will jump in. Rati tos pachi kwa! Na, ki kuri thakishe? Ki kapra lakai na thakishe? All those, like, what? They don't care about her rights. Her rights is exploited. Khotam jaisha tala rights to. Mathidi milai dishe. Bolibi, tala vices to kya ase? It's all being taken out. Right? Judgmental society. So these are some of the reference that one has to really focus on. So as I said, media is considered the fourth pillar of democracy. It is the most powerful weapon, which if used efficiently and ethically can bring about revolutionary changes in the life of people. And when we talk about children are often easy target. We can see two instances, okay? That was before all the laws came into place. It was in 2007, if you are aware of this or not. There was a boy in he killed 3 persons. I don't know whether you are aware of or not. And that kid was branded as a serial killer. That kid was branded as tyrant. And the media went on to crucify that kid. They went on to say that this kid doesn't have the right to live in a society and all those What they missed out on the point was how to rehabilitate the kid. What were the rights of the child? But they went on to crucify the kid. And the next year after, if you are familiar with Arushi and Hemraj, Arushi's parents were doctors, dental doctors. So Arushi was found murdered and the maid was also found murdered. So there were cases going on and the Allahabad High Court, they acquitted their parents. But the media, they crucified their parents. They said that the parents killed the child because of illicit relationship with the servant, and they will also kill the servant. That's how it went on to, really jeopardize the the feelings and the reputation of Arushi's parents. So what it says is certain media houses, knowingly or unknowingly, they tend to just spread the fire that way. So what the law is saying is that there should be certain limitations, that there should be certain guidelines while doing such coverages, especially relating to child. And now, the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act of 2000, it also gives out certain rights and do's and don'ts of child protection. Okay, so what it says is we won't be going into sections, but I'll just want to dwell on some important sections, on 2 sections, sections 19 and 21 of the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act. So it says that section 19 states that it states about removal of disqualification attaching to conviction. So what it says is, if a child is being convicted of certain offense, then his name is not to be mentioned. That's clear. It's ambiguity of law. So, and section 21 lays down that the provision regarding prohibition of publication of names means victim who is a child, okay, their names are not to be mentioned in any print media or in any social media platforms. So a careful balance is always to be maintained when it comes to right to privacy of a child. And if we look further, the Press Council of India Act 1978, under section 13 clause 2b of the Press Council of India Act and the norms of journalistic conduct 2010, it says that in case of any crime involving rape, abduction or kidnap of a woman or sexual assault on children, or raising questions touching the chastity, personal character and privacy of women, the names, photograph of the victims or other particulars which may lead to their identity shall not be published. So it's clear in the act. And it also prohibited to identify or take photograph of any minor or infant who is the offspring of sexual abuse. What this act is saying is those has to be protected. Their names and identity has to be protected. And the identity of children, including orphans and children living in orphanages or juvenile homes who are infected by HIV shall not be revealed, nor will they be photographed. See, these are some of the guidelines. When we look on the Cable Television Networks Regulation Act 1995 and rules of 1994, there are certain guidelines for media on reporting of children. So how and what are the guidelines? So it says that the involvement of children in news, programs, documentaries must evidently be editorially justified, including from a child rights perspective. And it shall be ensured by media that child victims of rape, other sexual offenses, trafficking, drug substance abuse, elopement, organized crimes, and children used in armed conflicts, or any child in conflict with law are automatically granted anonymity for life. This is covered under the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act. The important aspect I would want to highlight here is on the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act of 2012, the POCSO Act. I am sure all of you must have heard of this act. So this act, what does it say is that section 20 of the act says a child has to be provided by the personnel of media that if he or she comes any material or object which is sexually exploitative of the child, if you get hold of any material of a child which includes picture or pornographic material or sexually related or something obscene, then one is to report to the SJPU, that is the Special Juvenile Police Unit, which is under the command of the Commissioner of Police. So we are to bring to the notice of the SJPU. And again, I would like to highlight on section 19 clause 1 of the POCSO Act, which says mandatory reporting under POCSO. Now it says that any person who has knowledge of sexual offense committed or is likely committed on a child, that has to be reported. Management and staff of media, hotels, lodges, hospitals, clubs, studios, and photographic facilities. So if you happen to know of any of such, then these are to be reported. And failure to report on record is punishable offense. I would like to give a few examples on this. So like I said, I would like to mention one case law in Dinesh versus State of Rajasthan. What happened in this case was a 7-year-old victim was raped. So the Supreme Court, they came out that in order to prevent the child from social victimization or social stigmatization, the judgments would be appropriate, but they have chosen the victim to describe as victim in judgment. They didn't take the name of the child, the victim child, okay, like Miss X. This was a landmark judgment actually in Dinesh Putavar's State of Rajasthan. So this accused, he committed sexual abuse on a 7-year-old child. So while the Supreme Court was passing judgments, they said they addressed the victim as victim only. They didn't put the child's name. So these are that. So in certain cases, what happens is we can take out an order which has been passed by the court, right? Even the media can take hold of those, but the names have to be, does not have to be highlighted. The names and identity of such has to be protected. Some years ago, in Dimapur, I don't know whether you are aware of this or not, but in certain school, a child was sexually abused by the principal, right? Cases went on and all those things. So what happens is like these are some of the lapses, I should say. Not the part of the media, not the fault of the media also, but sometimes what I'm saying is in doing good, right? Sometimes in doing what is right or doing good, we tend to leave certain aspects on the the chastity of the victim, right? So these are some of the aspects we should always be careful about. And see, in Nipun Saxena versus Union of India, the apex court has held that no person can print or publish in print media, electronic, social media, the name of the victim, or even in remote manner disclose any facts which can lead to the victim being identified, and which should make her identity known to the public at large. So, see, the Supreme Court is saying that all these are to be avoided. And see, now this is interesting. Whether the victim is dead or of unsound mind, the name of the victim or her identity should not be disclosed, even if the victim is dead or the victim is of unsound mind. See, these are such judgments which has been, pronounced by the Supreme Court. Now, media and what is right to information of child. Now, children form a large population of the society, as we have all saw, like Sister Carol was presenting in, all this, what was going on, the social obligations. So they form a large population of the society, and unfortunately, this section of society is neglected as viewers, right? I'm sure you will all agree. Because what happens is like, as I've mentioned, we are more focused on what's happening, what's going to happen, but we are not focused on small kids, on children, on what their rights are, right? What do they actually want? What do they actually want to do, right? Sometimes they want to sleep, but we let them study. Sometimes they want to play, but we let them watch cartoons or, sort of things happens. So, as I've said, it comes under the right of information of child to get proper information suitable to them. Now, what this means is like we need to understand the child in their perspective, right? We need to understand what are they thinking, what do they want to do. And now, due to lack of child-oriented news content, children or juvenile find it less interesting in reading newspaper. See, this is very true, right? No, you will not find any school kids or college-going kids studying newspaper or reading through the dailies, or because that something catchy point is not there in the newspaper, right? Something cartoons or something which will attract them. It's not there. So why would they read, right? When they see flyers or newspapers, they will think that tawa manuhan karne asa. Nah. Even my kids, she does that. If I'm reading something, she'll just, if she finds a note, she'll say, "Daddy, this is your note." See. If I don't find it interesting, I'll say, "It's okay, you scribble on it. Draw whatever you want, go crazy with the paper." So this is how a child are. Now, moving on to the low coverage on child-centered news. Just as I've mentioned, media is there. Social, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everything is there, but it's not centered on child news, or like it's not child friendly. What is child friendly is YouTube and some children cartoons like Wufu, Nastya, whatnot, right? Because these people has really gone into the minds of the kids, and they have really marginalized their small brains, and that's where they are exploiting the kids, and they are making money, right? So now, since there's low media coverage centered on kids, the kids are less lively on medias. The kids, they do not want to like go through magazines or nothing of that sort, even if it's for them. So an important issue concerning attitude of media towards child is low coverage of child-centered news. That's what it's saying. And the focus of media has always been on consumers' choice rather than on interest of child. Why I'm saying this is because today we are mostly focusing on child rights. That's why. So therefore, incidents like child rape or child sexual abuse or child trafficking is like readily picked up by media, right? If anything of that sort happens, it's picked up. But if it has to be child cartoon or child-friendly telecast, then it's not there. We don't see it, right? We don't see it. So this is what it's saying. And the most important aspect is this, right? Right after a child is raped, or a child has been sexually abused or physically abused or is trafficked and is rescued. After the victim is rescued, there are no stories of rehabilitation of such children, right? Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Just as I've mentioned, child rape or child abuse, it's covered, it's picked up. But what happens during the procedures of law, or what happens to the rights of the child? Now, after all these things have come to a pass, what about the rehabilitation of the child? No one speaks. The child is doing fit and fine now, the child is hale and hearty. Nothing of that sort. So what this research is saying, that there may be two reasons behind low child rights coverage. Firstly is lack of demand from viewers or readers, which diffuse the child bit in Indian media. I'm sure you'll all agree with me. Firstly, there's lack of demand from viewers or readers. Because even us, we heard the news, we came across the news, we saw it, and then, public can be charished. Now, we don't tend to follow up. One very basic example is our health. You go to hospital, doctor will prescribe you medicines. After 1 week, follow up karne. Chahe kunbe. 2 din pitor to bimar kaya. You forgot the hospital, you forgot the doctor, right? No follow up. Charibi bimar pahaloshe ki kuro jabo. See, that's the point. There's no follow up. And the second thing is very limited media understanding of child rights sector. I don't know if the media fraternity will agree with me or not, but I will agree to this, to be honest. So these are two important aspects of low coverage on child-related news. The Prasar Party and IGNOU launched Gyan Darshan GT jointly on 26 January 2000 as the exclusive educational TV channel of India, mostly particularly to children. And it also goes on to say that children's programs are broadcasted from all regional and local radio stations of All India Radio on weekly basis in their respective regional languages. And these are specifically designated for age group 5 to 7 years and ages 8 to 14 years. So podcasts of special programs for rural children are also made from AIR stations. That's what they are doing. Plays, short stories, features, choral singings, interviews, stories from epic